Well, it's Thursday. That just means one thing. It's time for this week's Live Picks. Well, nothing beats a yummy snack to go with the afternoon tea, or coffee even. Well, especially if it's an old school snack that brings fond childhood memories. I'm talking about the traditional pancakes or jiang kueh from Win Win Pancake at Upper Cross Street. At $1 a piece, you can choose from a simple range of 3 fillings: peanut, red bean and coconut. Well, let's bring in STFood online editor Hedy Khoo. Hedy, the owner of Win Win Pancake, Mr. Chan Pok Choi, started selling pancakes in 1999. Now, before that, he was working in the electronics sector, very different industries. But he managed to bridge the two, and there is science behind his pancakes. Could you share more on that?
Yes, he was a general manager in the electronics industry, and because he said, the industry wasn't doing well at that time, so he decided to take the plunge and go into the F&B industry despite having no prior knowledge or experience in selling food or making food. So he was just given a basic recipe from his friend for making jiang kueh. So what he did was he developed the pancake recipe using a very precise method, because he consulted his wife, who has a background in chemical engineering, to come up with the perfect mix of flours and other ingredients in order to get a honeycomb texture for his pancake. So he designed and custom-made cast iron pans for cooking his pancake. They are about 21 inch in diameter, and they are of a specific thickness, and everything about it is to his own specifications for cooking the pancake the way he wants it, because at that time he couldn't find on the market ready-made cast iron pans that are suitable for cooking the pancakes exactly the way that he wants. He also came up with a tool, his own tool. He modified a power drill to become a blender, because again, he couldn't find a kitchen blender that could blend his batter into the consistency that he wanted.
Precision aside, I want to know the taste and the flavor of the pancake. What set it apart from other pancakes?
Okay, as I mentioned, the texture is really unique because it has when you bite into it, or even when you pick it up and if you observe it, you look at it, it has a honeycomb texture that is it's thick, it's fluffy. And the interesting thing is, usually for this jiang kueh, right, when we buy it, we're always very anxious. We hope to get the freshest one, like once it's out of the the ones that are freshly made. He takes about an average of 6 minutes to make each pancake, to get sold out really quickly. Even before he finishes, slicing up the pancake, there are always like customers hovering around, and the smell really just attracts people. It's really good. It's very tender, it's very fluffy, it's very soft, and the best part is you don't have to be so anxious about getting it hot and fresh. Of course, when you eat it piping hot, it's really different. But even when you take it home and you leave it there for a while, a couple of hours, it still remains soft and tender. And I think that's pretty amazing, because at some of the other jiang kueh stalls, once you buy it and you leave it, once it cools down to room temperature, it gets a bit stiff or hard. The texture isn't so tender as when you have it piping hot. But this one is really unique. And for those people who don't have a sweet tooth, I think this is a good option. For people who like the pancakes sweeter, then maybe, it's not sweet enough. But because in that area, it's serving, mostly more senior customers who prefer, they are perhaps more health conscious. So the pancakes fillings aren't so sweet, and Mr. Chan also controls the amount of sugar that goes into each pancake. And for the coconut pancake as well, it's less sweet. And for the peanut pancake, a little bit more sugar, because the fresh peanut filling that he uses is totally unsweetened.
Sounds really delicious. Definitely going to give it a try this weekend. Well, thank you, Hedy. That was Hedy Khoo, STFood online editor, sharing more on this week's Food Picks. The COVID-19 vaccines bring a sense of renewed hope in this new year, and with it, one can start destination dreaming again. While it is still uncertain when leisure travel can resume, travel industry players here and globally reveal their post-vaccine holiday plans to the Straits Times. They also picture what leisure travel will look like this year. Travel editor Lee Siew Hua joins me now to talk more about this. Siew Hua, what are some of the first flight out plans after the pandemic that they have shared with you?
Yes, I spoke to 6 travel leaders around the world and in Singapore, and they gave really enticing ideas. One of them from South Africa, his name is Jose Cortes, and he is one of the co-founders of the A2A safaris, right? And they design bespoke luxury safaris. And he said he's been stuck in South Africa, in Cape Town, so he wants to go to another continent, and that's Brazil. When you think about Brazil, we always think about the Amazon. He had a different idea. Brazil's Pantanal wetlands. That's where some of the best viewings of big cats are, jaguars especially. Lots of colorful but life abounds, also strange animals. So I guess the whole idea is really to escape into nature, to see, to get wind in our faces, to see big skies, to have lots of fresh air. So, and at the same time experience a new territory like Brazil's Pantanal wetlands, which is slightly less known than all the glories of African safaris, but definitely a place to dream about. Another travel leader, Tamara Lohan, CEO of Mr. and Mrs. Smith, the boutique hotel booking platform. She has been locked down in London, and she calls it dreary London for much of last year. So her plan is to escape to sunny places like Tuscany in Italy or the Maldives. So I guess that's another tip for all of us. You know, we think, what is it we want, or the opposite of Singapore? So in her case, she is thinking of a restored castle in Tuscany. Travel leaders talking about the first flight out, they want escapism, wellness, lots of nature if possible. So these would be some of the, as we spend a few more months perhaps in Singapore, not traveling until journeys become possible, we can go destination dreaming any part of the world.
Definitely going to add those destinations to my holiday list. Thank you, Siew Hua. That was travel editor Lee Siew Hua. And lastly, if you've no big plans this weekend and decided to stay in, which I probably will be, turn on your telly and get comfy on the couch with our TV picks this week. Journalist Jan Lee is here with her recommendations. So Jan, you have 2 shows for us this week. One is Korean and the other is French. Now, both very different genre. Let's talk about the Korean show first. Tell us more.
Okay, so it's Yoon's Day. It's on View, it's on TVN, you can find it. So it's like in its 3rd season. It was originally called Yoon's Kitchen, and it was about like this South Korean actress, Yoon Jong, and she would take like a team of actors and actresses overseas with her to start a restaurant. And it was very popular. And it's by a very, very famous variety show producer, Na Young-sok, who you would know from he did New Journey to the West, Grandpa's Over Flowers. So he's a very famous variety show producer in South Korea. But because this year, due to COVID, they cannot fly overseas to start a restaurant, right? So instead, they are staying in South Korea and running a homestay experience in a traditional Korean house called a hanok. So this season, it has the returning castmates from season 2, actor Lee So-jin, actress Jang Yumi, actor Park So-joon from Itaewon Class, and new addition Choi Wook-sik from Parasite. So it's I've watched 2 episodes, and even though each episode is 1 hour and 40 minutes, it's very long. It's actually very enjoyable because you see them struggle and try to get ready for the guests, right? Because this is not their full-time job, so they have to learn how to cook, they have to rearrange the bed sheets, they have to replace amenities, and just learn to serve customers if you have time to waste, and it's very healing and very calming a show. It's low stakes, nobody dies, there's no tragedies. It's a very feel-good show to watch.
Well, the second show is a French comedy dropping on Netflix today called My Agent. It's not new.
Yes.
In fact, it's in its fourth and final season, and you mentioned earlier on that it'll be refreshing for viewers who are new to European comedies. What do you mean by that?
Well, basically, the premise is that it's about French talent agents managing French stars. So it's about a talent agency. And the very interesting thing is that every episode they would have an actual French actor or actress playing themselves. And this season there's actually a non-French actress, Sigourney Weaver. She's American and she's also on the show and playing herself. But of course they are playing like a sort of heightened reality version of themselves. They're playing off what the public thinks of them. And what I meant when I said it's a very different type of comedy from, like, say, if you're very used to American comedies, then the rhythm is very different. You know, there are no like big laugh tracks or anything. The humor is a little bit more subdued in that sense. It's still hilarious, but it's a bit more subdued, and it's can be a little bit more caustic in that sense. And it's just a very interesting sort of rhythm to flow with. I would consider it sort of like in between a drama and a comedy, because there are some elements that are not super funny and like actually touches on pretty serious things. So yeah, this season, I mean, there's like Sigourney Weaver, so you can go and watch it. Of course, it's in French, but you can choose to watch it with subtitles. You know, as Bong Joon-ho says, if you overcome the barrier of subtitles, you'll be open to a world of wonderful films. Then television shows, I believe, apply as well.
That was a great ending. Well, thank you so much, Jen, for the recommendations. That was journalist Jen Lee with two shows for you to catch this week: South Korean reality show Yoon Stay and French comedy Call My Agent. Well, check out the Friday pages in tomorrow's live section for more ideas on what you can do this weekend.